Tonight I'm going to show you guys how I built this table using just scrap metal that I had laying around the shop. This is the longer version of the video. If you want to see the short one, click in the corner over here and go watch the shorter one. It just breezes right through, mostly just time lapse, and that way you don't have to listen to me talk. But if you want to stick around, I'm glad to have you. Tonight I have a project that I've kind of been putting off for a while. When I built this shop, I cobbled together a real quick little workbench thing that I've been doing most of my fab work on. Most of, well, it's been using it as a workbench. And it's basically just it's a wire spool that I slap some wheels on the bottom of it. I have a project coming up where I am going to be welding together some diff covers for my Jeep. And I had a couple projects that I did not long ago that really, it basically came time and I said, I got to build a little bit of a better workbench. So I'm going to set you guys on the tripod here and let you watch as I go through my thought process and try to build kind of a makeshift workbench and improve on this. Handy to have. It's on wheels. It doesn't quite cut the mustard. I end up bending over too much. I can't get my stuff to clamp onto it very well. And, well, this vise has seen some better days. So it's time for a little bit of an upgrade. We can get started on this and see how it goes. One of these days, maybe I'll buy a proper table. But until then, I'm going to go out to the scrap pile out back here and see what we got for legs. So this is mainly pieces of gym equipment that we had gotten off a scrap bin. I have the makings of a leg there, a couple of legs there that I can use. I'm basically going to try to take as much of this as I can and make the base of the table. It's good, sturdy, strong, thick-walled steel, and it should give us a good base. I have all of the junk that I had laying around in my scrap pile all kind of laid out, and I've been running over different ideas in my head. So here's I'm gonna talk you through it real quick, and we will put some pen to paper and see what we come up with. You guys can get a feel for what the craziness is going on in my brain right now. These are obviously the uprights from a bench press of some sort. I make the table, I'm thinking maybe about this tall. A little taller than probably most people would. I'm 6'3", and I'm always bending over. And I need to be able to work at my height. So I'm going to build it at my height. So I have all this stuff laid out. I have to see what I can do with it and go from there. Not 100% sure, but that's what I'm working with right now, and we'll see where we end up. So I've been grinding away at this a little bit, and I think I've come up with a plan. I'm going to put these two uprights right up so that they're just along the side of this platform. I'm going to make the height. Oh, whoa, there's some water in that still. I'm trying to get all the water to come out of there. I'm going to put the uprights like this so that they just fit into this platform. And then the table height is going to be up here somewhere. I have cut this piece right here off. And this is going to be the bracing that goes around underneath the table. I'll weld this to the platform here, to the sheet. I was thinking about using this. I'm trying to figure out ways to support the plate without, so it doesn't warp, or if I'm kind of banging on it or something like that, it's not going to bend. But I also want to be able to clamp to it, so I don't want to have, a whole lot of stuff under there. So I was thinking about making another layer that goes around the outside. But basically, this is going to help support it, and then this is going to attach to those uprights. Right now I'm battling with my OCD, really. This piece, I'm just making this out of scrap, but this has the piece that it came from, this was a square angle, and this is not square, this is like a diagonal or something. I don't know what that is. It should go like this, you know. So I'm trying to decide, do I cut this off and re-weld this in here or leave it out there? I don't really have anything well, maybe I could weld this guy in there and bring this out straight, but I'd have to cut both sides. It's twice as much work. Whereas I'm just kind of making this out of scrap. Why don't I just leave this over to the side? I don't know what I'm going to do, but we're going to figure it out. But that's the first step. So I got that laid on there. Now I need to cut off these risers. I need to do some more grinding. I need to take these edges off down here, and then figure out my platform height and attach this guy to the top of these, and then see if I need to have any supports down towards the bottom. There is water squirting out of my weld. This too must have water in it, and I punctured through and pressurized it. Now that I have it all mocked up, well, not all of it, I have the base built. So the idea with these two pieces is that they're going to be able to lock together when I'm not using them, or if I want to use them at the same time. I can lock them together, and this base unit here will provide some ballast to the upper unit. I'm thinking I'll make a connection point of some kind so that I can connect them together so that they can kind of lock. They already do down there at the feet. So this is an old upright that I cut off of that one from long ago, and I welded it in here as a side one. This one comes in just above the platform there, so that will give this some rigidity. The next thing I'm going to have to do is decide what height I want my platform at, what height I want my table, and then I can weld that piece to it, and then some support pieces that come up from here to go up to the other side. I'm going to wait to do that because I need to go get casters. Are not exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for double locking casters that would lock on both directions, but all the ones that I could find that were double locking casters were too tall. And by double locking, I mean that they'll lock from the roll perspective, but also from the pivot perspective. So I found these guys which will handle the weight and will lock from roll, and then I ended up actually only getting 2 locking and 2 rolling, so I can lock 2 of them, and then the other 2 will just be locked in turn, because I think what I'll end up doing is I'll end up making a bolt-on foot of some sort where I can then stabilize the unit using the bolt-on foot instead of trying to lock the casters. I got 3 of these steel wheel casters. It's a very similar caster with about the same height, but instead of rubber they have steel. And the reason that I did that was because they were capable of holding more weight. So the 3 are for the 3 legs of this unit, which is the platform. I don't expect to make any stabilizing feet for that platform. The next thing that we've got to do is we've got to flip this guy over, drill a hole in the bottom, and then tap it for 1/2 inch, I don't know what that is, 18 threads per inch, whatever that is. And now you can kind of see, hopefully, a little bit more of what's going on inside this crazy head of mine. We're going to be able to take, this is going to be the table, and we can roll that out and independent of the platform. So then we can roll this, and this is something where I could probably use it if I want to work on a truck or a car, anything like that. It doesn't roll super easy, but it rolls easy enough. So it seems, I don't feel unstable when I'm on it. So if it does become an issue, then we can make outriggers for it or something that will lock it in place. This one also rolls pretty good. It's not real tippy, so it locks in here just the way that I was hoping. I will probably make a nice little like a locking mechanism probably down here on these feet to connect the 2 together, so that when they're connected together, this base gives the table extra ballast, and that way it even feels even more stable as a table when I'm working on it. Also, because of the fact the table is going to be a little bit high, that's the next thing I got to do is cut it off so that I can set the top on it. This thing here can spin around and then lodge itself right in there, and I could then use this as a way of getting up and working on large items, heavy items, reaching down onto the table rather than having to have that on the floor. I'm not getting younger, and my knees don't love it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to be honest. I don't know what I'm going to be. So the next step for me for this project is I got to strike a level line on here, cut it off. Then I'm going to use a level to transpose that line over here to cut this off at the same height, level, measure, tape, whatever. And then I'm ready to start putting this platform on. Well, I figure it is about time that I bring you guys over here and let you see where I have got. This is the piece that was sitting down there, and it had that wonky angle going off on it. I did end up cutting that off with this fabulous saw. And so then I'm going to put the center line of the table right about here, which matches up with about the center line of the distance between the wheels, or the legs, as you might call them. I don't know. So I got to weld these guys up in here. I've got to level this up, and then I'm going to weld this guy to here. Once that's all good to go, then I can take the plate and put it up on there. I am going to take angle iron and do a strip around the outside of this plate. It's not very thick in the grand scheme of things, probably like an inch or two away from the edge the whole way around, so that it'll give it some structural rigidity, add to it to try to keep it flat, and then also it'll give me like a little thing that I can put clamps to. So if I want to wrench on it real tight and clamp on it, at that bar, it'll be like this, kind of like that. And then I can put a clamp on there, and it will help prevent me from damaging the tabletop. Likely going to cut most of this out, but just in case I screw something up, you might as well be watching, you know. But check this out. Good old-fashioned, made in USA steel. So not only am I making my own platform for this thing, I'm making it out of American steel. This is going to be like the most American thing I have. No, it's pretty American though. I like it. Anywho, oh, if I put this down on the ground, it's not going back up. Hold up. Oh, now. Whew. There's no way getting fingers under that. If we're going to do this, we should probably do it over there closer to the welder so that I can weld it on and then tip it up. I don't know. I don't know what to do next. Let's see. Well, you know, maybe this thing can handle it. Maybe this thing can. It says it can handle 1,000 pounds. Let's see what we can do here. Here we go. Ready? Oh. Oh, that hurts my feet. Oh, that's heavy. Oh, that is not light. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. It's okay. We got 24, 32. We got to mark the center here. Oh, that hurt. Okay. That could really work. It's starting to look a little bit like a table. That's a pretty good idea what it's going to look like when it's all said and done. It's a little taller than most people's welding tables, I think. But it really does, I think, fit the bill. I might want to lop these corners off because I can just see myself cutting some with that. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Well, getting this thing up onto those legs is about one half of the battle. Now I have to get it back down and flip the legs on top of it and be able to weld to it. I think I'm going to use this chair. Back to this. without damaging wheels. Okay. Well, first, it's up. Let's grind this smooth. I'm gonna clean up these edges so that I can weld this all the, like, not all the way around, but like a section. I'll clean that up once I know where it's gonna be. Now that we have the base, the legs and the base of the table welded onto the tabletop, the next thing I want to do is I want to give this tabletop some structure. So I have this really thick, I don't even know what size that is, it's over 1/4 inch thick angle iron, and I'm going to cut some at 45-degree corners on it. I'm going to make a box that goes basically around the whole outside of the unit. I'll take these bends and these guys and basically cut them and then set them in there so that it'll be on the edges there. And then this gives me a nice good thick edge that I can clamp to. It gives a little bit extra weight and a little bit extra structure, and it'll help keep that thing from twisting or torquing. So let's get to it. Oh, and that is where this saw comes to shine. Cut, baby, cut. Now that I have the frame piece cut and I have the joints all squared up there, I'm actually going to flip the table back over and I'm going to weld that frame piece together as the first item on the table. Then we'll flip the table again and then weld it back to the bottom of the table so that I don't have to weld on my knees to put this frame together. Flipping the table over first, I abandoned that pretty quickly because it's pretty heavy. But here we have it mocked up, have it pretty well square-ish. Now I'm going to weld it in place and then try to flip the table over. Bracket welded on the bottom. I have the base welded on the bottom. All that is all connected together. Now, I just can't seem to get it upright. Yeah, I have to bring a lift in here or something to hoist it up so that I can make it straight up and down. Before we go pulling that lift in here, let's try this one more time. I don't think I'm funny because I had just added 100 pounds to it. I can't lift that. I cannot lift that. I did not plan this out very well. That is too heavy. that wraps up the welding table project. Finally got it on its feet, and I like it. So you can see the two pieces will go together pretty well like this. They can lock together, and this guy will then not be tipsy. I can also unlock them. Spin them around. And then if I need to work on this table and kind of get down on here and work on something, or I also am working, I haven't finished it all the way, but I can then put a seat on here, and then I can work on it like that. So if I don't want to be down on the ground, I can have a way of actually working on the table while seated, or bending over like I would if it was on the ground. So, but the height is right, the table is high, it's mobile, it's small enough, I can get over it. This is really exactly what I had in mind. And with that, I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks for stopping out. I look forward to doing more projects on this table. I'm going to be working on some diff covers for my Jeep. So if you enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe, come back for more. If you didn't, well, thanks for stopping anyway. Let me know in the comments what I can do to improve it. Improve the video, improve. You know, let me know in the comments what you think. But that's it for now. Thanks for stopping. See you guys on the next one.